Hey guys, it's me. I've been MIA for the past couple of days because I've been a little under the weather down. And then on top of that, I was kind of, I don't know, I was playing Persona 5, which I highly recommend if you've never played that game or been a part of that series. But anyway, today I'm going to read Threefold, part 2 of this segment. So, if you're ready, here we go. Hugo sat in an elegant tea house, which was bustling with customers, watching the young Lunese woman he met earlier hard at work. After 3 weeks of traveling and training together, the trio found themselves separated. He had managed to halt progress every few days to help someone. He replayed the memories of those past few weeks in his head. A few days after leaving Yavera, they encountered a flooded village. Guinness assured Hugo the people could handle the problem on their own, but Hugo refused to leave without being of some assistance. Shopping for supplies 4 days later, after Hugo bought a book on blacksmithing, he overheard a man who needed help on his farm. Hugo immediately offered to help. Seeing he was a Solaresian, the man was apprehensive, but hearing him speak sincerely about helping those in need when others had turned him down, he accepted his offer. Hugo hadn't planned to get Guinness and Junio involved, but Junio didn't mind going along with it. When Guinness learned he wanted to repay Hugo's kindness with room and board, he also joined the cause. The next week, when Hugo wanted to stop swarms of manises from attacking the town, he had noticed Junio didn't seem surprised, as usual. Junio had smiled. Guinness had complained, as usual. While Guinness had taken his shirt off and lay on the ground to enjoy the fresh air against his skin until Hugo helped end another crisis, Junio had kept an eye on the situation. When Guinness wasn't resting his eyes, he'd look over a time or two, too. Hugo had finished the 120-page chapter Matteo had marked in the history book and spoke to Junio and Guinness about it. They had discussed it last night before Hugo met Teresa and discovered them missing that morning. I finished that chapter earlier, Hugo had said. I'm not sure what it's supposed to mean. 3 young women, Luna, Soleil, and Estelle, took control of the 3 main continents around the same time, 250 years ago. After using their abilities to help them succeed, they ruled peacefully for about a decade and a half. People actually came to love them after their hostile takeovers. Then everything went to hell, Guinness said. Was it that obvious? Hugo asked. Nothing ever ends right when it comes to history, Guinness said. For some unexplained reason, Hugo said, the 3 women declared war on each other. The equalization war went on for 5 years. In that time, people from different parts of the world escaped to Gatera, which another young woman by the name of Trishelle and many people had established as a place of peace. Tensions arose between the people of the 3 respective continents, even more so between the Energists and the Nulls. Near the war's end, the 3 women disappeared. You're telling me these 3 women took control, Guinness said, and the people were happy about it? Then they disappeared after starting a 5-year war? I don't remember this history lesson when I was in school. Most things in school textbooks are only one side of a story, Hugo said. In high school, Junio said, I studied Empress Luna, Queen Soleil, and Mistress Estelle. Besides their accomplishments, I wasn't taught much about them. The book Mateo left me isn't a textbook, Hugo said. Someone did extensive research on part of their story for this book. It goes in depth with their backgrounds and origins. They were the first energists to take leadership positions. They renamed the continents after themselves. No one was strong enough to stop them. From what I've read, they weren't terrible people either. They managed not to kill anyone during their power plays for ruling positions. I knew Soleil used her hydro energy to bring more water to Solares's people. I didn't know Estelle helped create Phison energy as a weapon for the war. I didn't know that about Estelle, Guinness said, and I'm from Estrellano. I didn't either, Junio said. I thought someone created Phison energy recently, in the past 50 years or so. The book explained the world was in a golden age over most of their 20-year reigns. Hugo said, no one knows why they declared war on each other, but the author had a few theories. One included one to all three of the women wanting more control of the world. Another included a scientific breakthrough that went wrong. A third involved false information, lies, and secrets. The book didn't go into much detail concerning the theories. These were just guesses based on information the author found. I'd go with the first theory, Guinness said. From what I know about them, they worked well together. Someone must have gotten jealous. People are never satisfied with what they have. They always need more, and that's especially true with power. Someone wanted more power and decided to do whatever it took to get it. Mateo gave him that book, Junio said. It must have some relation to us. We have to think about it in those terms. That's what I thought, Hugo said, but I just gave you guys a short summary of what I learned, and I'm telling you, I don't see why he gave me this book. If that author's third theory is correct, Junio said, the world fell into chaos due to false information. Our lives fell into chaos when we were brought together. Our very foundations were masked by deceit, and we learned we needed to seek out the truth. Hugo and Guinness glanced at each other. Hugo wondered if Guinness thought what he thought. Was it their siblings? What was it their siblings knew that they didn't? That'll only pan out if you happen to be right about their grand scheme, Guinness said. Who knows, Hugo said. I'll take both your ideas into consideration. If Mateo decides I need another clue, maybe that'll finally give me the big picture and the answers we seek. After their conversation had ended, Guinness decided to go for a late-night swim. At nights, after dinner, he usually went off to be by himself. Even when they had chances to stay in villages or towns, Hugo noticed he'd head off into the night for a few hours. He always wondered why, but never thought to ask. Hugo chalked it up to Guinness liking to have time alone. When Hugo woke up the next day, Guinness wasn't there. Junio wasn't around either, but that was to be expected. Junio usually disappeared in the mornings and brought back breakfast. Hugo assumed he exercised on his own or meditated, but he had no idea. He noticed Junio appeared to be quite the people person when he wanted to be or had to be. During the past 3 weeks, Hugo wondered if he was putting on a show for strangers, changing for them, or if this was who he really was. Hugo remembered them eating at an inn, and a few local women had asked Junio to dance. Hugo and Guinness sat at the table and watched them while Guinness drank beer. If we were back in Estrellano, Guinness had said, that would be me. Free drinks, dancing, and women hanging all over me. I can't believe he's dancing, Hugo said, noticing Junio moving somewhat to the music as women touched on his body. This seems awkward. The women? Guinness asked. No, Hugo said, Junio having fun. Guinness almost choked on some beer from trying to suppress a laugh, but his laugh burst out of him. Why are you laughing so hard? Hugo asked. Junio's oblivious, Guinness said. You know that, right? I find it hard to believe because we're talking about Junio, but he doesn't realize that some of those women want to take him upstairs and have their way with him. Actually, I'll take that back. What I first said. He isn't oblivious. We're talking about Junio. The way he moves and they move, I can tell he refuses to get this kind of chemistry, so he ignores it. He paused, as if his mind had just been blown. He might be into men. Let's not jump to conclusions, Hugo said. He might be asexual. Guinness almost choked on his beer again. That's not a thing. That's not real. It is too real, Hugo said. I think you're drunk. Excuse me. Hey, Hugo said, I'm not drunk. I can hold my liquor. I've seen this a million times with nice guys. You're the perfect example. Guinness chuckled, and Hugo frowned. Junio's dancing with them because he's a nice guy, but from what we know of Junio, he'd sooner kill them than have sex with any of them. It's a shame, really. I could see that, Hugo admitted slowly, not wanting to, but believing it. Guinness laughed. Hugo also remembered the rest of that conversation, which led to him getting to know Guinness a bit better. Do you think this is how he's dealing with that news? Acting out a character? Guinness stopped laughing. No, Guinness said. This is something different. He dealt with that news already. He's going to do his job. I won't let him, Hugo said. I had a feeling you thought that way, Guinness said. If she killed his old man for any other reason besides self-defense, she's gone. It's what he does. Junior won't let his personal feelings or history with her get in his way. He wouldn't do it, Hugo said. What makes you so sure? Guinness said. Junior's not as heartless as he thinks he is, Hugo said. I can give you that, Guinness said. Is that why you don't have a problem with it? Hugo asked. Because it's his job? No, Guinness said. If you do the crime, you have to pay. He took a drink. That's why I'm going after Mateo. If you and Junio take the lives of these people, Hugo said, doesn't that mean you two have to die too? By the logic you two are working with, that sounds right. Guinness shook his head. It's not the same. You wouldn't kill him, would you? Hugo said. He's family. A brief silence followed his question. He's family, Guinness said. I don't agree with Junio killing his mom, but I can see why he would. Mateo killed our old man. He has to deal with the consequences. I've let him go on for too long, scot-free. Why do you hate him? Hugo said. I don't hate him, Guinness said. He pissed me off. He killed our old man. He deserves to pay for that no matter what the reason. What really pisses me off is that we didn't talk about it. When we had to be, we were a great team. But we lived our own separate lives. But whenever we had a tough problem or whatever, we'd get together, grab some beers, and make sense out of bullshit. Teresa knows the reason, Hugo said. Yeah, Guinness said. My old lady does too, but I don't want to hear it. He stopped and stared at his beer bottle resting on the table in his hand. He didn't speak for a minute. I know the reason he didn't talk to me. We'd hit a rougher patch by then. He didn't say anything more after that. Hugo wanted to ask what the rougher patch was, but he decided he didn't need to know. Guinness rarely talked about himself. Sometimes he just had to listen. Alright, guys, that's the end of part 2. As you can see, Hugo is getting to know his 2 companions a little bit more, a little bit better. And we'll learn more about the situation he's in now as we go through this section. So tomorrow we'll do part 3. Hopefully, if I'm not feeling under the weather or anything. Thanks for listening. For those of you who are, have a good day. Adios.